Yo, how is everyone?
Hey, how you doing, Mike?
Awesome. How are you?
I am well. How was everyone's week last week?
Pretty good. How about yours?
Not too bad. It's starting to get a little bit warmer in LA, which, I mean, it's always warm, but it's starting to get like hot. So I'm super excited to spend some time in the sun.
Nice.
Sweet. We'll wait a couple more minutes for people to sort of pour on in here, and then we'll get started. All right, we can get going actually. Let me see. All right, let's rock.
Hey, Mike, how you doing?
I'm well, man. Thanks for asking.
Yeah. So this is upsell 2, and I made a couple notes. Basically, I mean, yeah, I just want to check over whatever you can. But what I was curious of is I kind of include a story kind of leading into the mechanism. And I was just thinking, like, do I even need to make it this long or include that story, or can I just cut it out and go straight to the offer faster? Because it's the second. So
yeah. Did you want me to look at these notes?
no, that's
just because I can't. Okay.
That's just my stuff.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So I think basically, like, the answer to this lies in whether or not the mechanism is different than the front end and the first upsell. So let's sort of take a couple steps back. So what's the front end here?
The front end is a fitness info product. I didn't write it, but it's a bit of a unicorn front end. Converts really, really well on cold traffic. Basically, it's kind of both training and nutrition, but it does have a mechanism. So it's like 2 discoveries instead of just one. But the nutrition discovery on the front end is basically it's basically flexible dieting, like eating what you want, and pretty basic. And the upsell 2, it's pretty similar. It's like an anabolic dessert type of thing.
Well, hold on. What's upsell 1?
It's like an advanced version, like an accelerator package, basically.
And that's like, is that harder workouts? What is the actual, what makes it advanced?
So think of front end product as the main, like the training phase 1, and then upsell is training phase 2 and 3.
Sure. Cool. Phase 2 and 3. Awesome. And then this second upsell then?
This is anabolic desserts. So it's another ebook, but it's focused on nutrition. And yeah, it's just like, basically it's a dessert recipe book that's like, supposed to help you build muscle.
Cool. So let me go ahead and read that then. Reorder. Yeah, I think this is fine, man. I think the little tiny story is great. The one thing I wonder is, like, is this even necessary? Adding in this mechanism. The reason why I asked is because you mentioned on the front end, you guys already talk about nutrition and flexible dieting and sort of like macro type stuff, right?
Yeah, he doesn't go into specific. It's one of those, I guess you would call it like a secret lead where you hide how you do it in the product once you buy it. But all they know is that they're able to achieve an incredible body by literally, eating ice cream, while everyone else suffers.
Right. So why not say basically the same thing here?
Okay.
Does that make sense? Like you're almost making it a little bit more complicated for yourself. I think it's a really simple proposition, which is just like, basically have a ton of food porn right here and be like, chocolate chip brownies, like this and this and this. Can you believe this is the secret to whatever 16-inch Python biceps, blah, 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 right? And then you literally just say like what you have here, which is don't worry, like we're about to get started. And I shared with you a little bit earlier that when it comes to nutrition, eating the right way is super important, but that doesn't mean eating cardboard all day. In fact, I've stumbled upon 30 or however many, mouthwatering anabolic desserts to satisfy every palate, including food with actual photos, and then you just get right into it. And if you want to use some of this proof, you still can, but I would actually stuff that under the muscle fuel thing. You can just have a section that's like, you see, the reason why muscle fuel works so well is because all this research.
Okay. So before I actually introduce it, you said the story was good, but now that you say that, should I just?
The story's great. I just don't think you need it.
Okay.
Because you've already talked about nutrition on the front end. Why not just say like, hey, we talked about nutrition you don't actually say front end, right? You're like, hey, we talked about nutrition earlier, and now I'm going to take it up a notch by giving you my favorite desserts that you can literally eat any time of day and still build muscle like a savage. Right? This is sort of you take a page out of Paleo Hacks book, which is quite literally just as much food porn as you can have throughout. Get their mouth watering, get them to actually want it. And then you basically say, oh, and this brownie is going to give you abs, and this whatever snickerdoodle is going to blah, blah, blah. So you almost hide the good stuff, right? Which is all of this. I want to see all of this up top.
Okay. So even though on the first page, you see under that sub headline, like what if I told you that these chocolate brownies, and then I include that little photo of protein brownies. So is that not enough in the beginning? Still add maybe a few more?
Yeah, dude, I want like a bar of just 7 photos, like a collage of just, how like overlapping, you know what I mean? Just like dessert. Because what you run the risk of is like, I don't know, people are weird. Some people don't like chocolate, right? So you almost want a ton of photos. Does that make sense?
Yes, it makes sense.
Yeah, but all this stuff is great, man. I guess right now it's used as like, this is gonna be a very nuanced thing, but it's used as proof for why this thing is cool. I would much rather introduce something that's cool and then use this as support for why it's cool, if that makes sense.
Yes, it makes 100% sense.
So just swap it. And again, the reason why is just we're already at upsell 2. You already talked about nutrition on the front end. So why not just get into it?
Got it.
Yeah, good work, man. Are there any other areas you want me to sort of hone in on here?
Oh, actually, yeah, I left another note. Basically, it was just for compliance. Because I know the front end will obviously be more important, but anything I should kind of watch out for with compliance?
In terms of like Facebook or like the FDA?
Well, it's going to go on cold traffic on Facebook. So I guess let's focus on Facebook right now.
Yeah, I don't know. And if anyone knows, feel free to chime in the chat, but I'm actually not sure how far Facebook goes into the actual funnel.
I've heard upsell 3 by someone who's very, very, very successful with Facebook ads, but I'm not sure how much they look into it,
Yeah, man, I don't know. That's a really tough one. What I would suggest, if you can, just submit 2 versions and just basically tell the client like, hey, whatever you're comfortable with. Another way to sort of look at this is look at upsell 1. If that's not compliant, then you don't even have to worry about upsell 2 being compliant. You know what I mean?
Okay, got it.
And again, if anyone in the chat knows more than like has anything to chime in, like I've just never heard of them getting that far, but dude, I don't know. Facebook's nuts.
Okay, nice. Thank you, Mike.
Yeah, man, good work.
Hey, Mike, what's up?
Hey, Kate, what's going on?
Not too much. This is a gut health offer. I think it's like a 28-day challenge. It's an info product. It's not a supplement. But basically, it's a doctor introduction. The client wanted me to do a new lead for them. So the initial lead was like 15 minutes, and I'm pulled it back to about, it should be about 5 minutes, what I've written. But I just want to see what you think. I've got one question a bit further down where I introduce the doctor if it's boasting or not, but the rest, I just want to see what you think.
Sure. So this is for a supplement?
I know it's an actual info product. So it's like a, you know, meal plan and all that other stuff you get with info products.
Cool. And what is the actual, is it, there's like a toxin in these?
Yeah, there's like this LPS toxin or something that they talk about. Like they did talk about it too early in this initial thing. But the swipe, so the client has a swipe that's working right now, which is basically like, you know, this person gained 50 pounds eating salad and it's getting really high opens and click through. So they wanted to go off that initially. Like, maybe you wouldn't put broccoli in a salad, but yeah, they were sort of wanting to go with that opening of salad being bad for you.
Then why not just, I mean, so alternatively, you could just do that, right? Which is, hey, we already know on the email front that this sort of idea is working. You could turn that email into Dr. Anthony basically narrating like, you know, my client before he or she came to me gained 50 pounds eating salad. And it's only now that I've connected the dots as to why.
Well, if you scroll down a little bit more, I do go into the story about that, which is just like an embarrassing moment. They wanted to have a story in there as well.
Cool. So I would actually test leading with this as well as this, because, you know, a long time ago, Dig had written something for Organifi, and the lead was like Drew was in the kitchen, Drew Canoli, like the
Yeah, I know the guy. Yeah.
yeah. So he was just like, hey, my name is Drew Canoli and I'm about to commit health food heresy. And he like just took kale and threw it in the garbage. Right. Which is a very like Dr. Gundry-esque type, like, don't eat tomatoes. So I would try as best to mimic what some of those have done.
Mm-hmm. Well, I've got to write 3 leads for them. So, I mean, I could do that for one of them as well.
Yeah, you can do one. The one thing I'd like a little bit here is I wonder if you can move up the toxin a little bit.
Okay.
Because you have a sentence right here. Right. I wonder if it's like, you see up to 99% of health problems like unexplained weight gain, digestive issues, fatigue, low mood, aches and pains are caused by a sinister toxin that makes it impossible to be healthy, even if you're doing everything right. Like, give me some flavor of it right here. And then you can just say, and I'm going to reveal this hidden toxin right now.
Well, you know, in just a sec.
Well, exactly, right? Because right now you're saying you're going to reveal something to me without even introducing it first.
Gotcha.
So I would actually move the toxin bit up here. And you can probably remove this sentence altogether.
Okay.
Call it gut disruption. Good news is the fat destroying. Okay, and then we basically have to connect the toxin to this fat destroying compound in the lead somehow. So can you walk me through what this actually is?
No, because I don't know if they actually reveal it at the end of the BSL.
Okay,
It's
so
like a bacteria. I just didn't like the word bacteria because it just didn't sound good. So I just used compound. But yeah, I can't really remember. It was buried so deep in, like, this VSL is like an hour or something, and it's not really converting. So they wanted to cut it shorter and bring the doctor in earlier. But if I watch it again, I can probably figure it out.
yeah, I would, because the reason why is you actually have like 3 really big ideas here.
Okay.
Which is there's a toxin, gut disruption, oh, and there's a fat destroying compound.
Okay.
So they're almost competing for each other, especially in the lead, right? Which we know when it comes to like the hallmarks of a good lead is just stick with one thing.
Gotcha.
So that's what I would do if I was writing this. Is it's really hard to get toxins to work without attaching something.
Okay.
So man, I wonder if we can get a little bit more clarity on what this thing actually is.
Okay.
I know you don't want to say bacteria, but.
Okay. So I should kill at least one of these ideas out of it?
Not kill, I would move it down, maybe. Like they just don't even need to know this. Right? You could literally remove this and it would still read just the same. In fact, it would read stronger.
Okay.
And you can still use this. You can still say this toxin is biologically robbing you of your ability to lose weight.
Okay.
So that's where I would go with this lead.
Okay. I mean, the story is like a bit, I mean, I think it's funny, but people will probably be.
Well, let me go ahead and just read a little bit. So I never realized you was I know it helped you. Is there a reason why we're swapping narrators?
Well, it's just like going from the doctor to this woman telling her story, basically, like in a first person kind of thing. As if it's a client, but it's a narrator.
This is really interesting. Yeah, I wonder if you could test both, because I'd almost want to hear from Dr. Because if we're starting with Dr. Anthony, I would almost keep going with her. Because it seems a little bit abrupt to swap narrators.
Okay.
Wow, this is so my stomach is like churning right now.
Yeah, so then it kind of goes into how she's like really overweight and like hated her life, and then came across Dr. Anthony, and then Dr. Anthony comes in and introduces himself and goes on with the mechanism.
Okay, so my advice would be, once we get really clear on what we're leading with in terms of this lead, I would keep going with Dr. Anthony and then shorten this. So you have a story that goes on for like 3 or 4 pages. Basically make it like, I don't know, I don't want to give you a specific word count, but make it like 200, 300 words. That's just like, whoever this person is, so-and-so came into my office and explained one of the most gut-wrenching stories I had ever heard in my entire 30-year medical career. You see, he or she explained that blah, 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 blah. And then you go into, I was so moved that I knew I had to like dig a little bit deeper and figure out what was going on. And then that's when you go into the mechanism.
Okay.
Because it's almost the same thing here. This is almost its own separate lead.
Hi. Sorry, I realized that clicked late.
Okay.
Does that make sense, Kate?
Yeah. Should I make that another lead? Because like I said, I've like told them I'm writing them 3 leads.
Yeah,
So-
I would do that. Certainly.
Okay.
I think that's a good way to do it, right? Like you have a story lead, right? You have one that's like almost like a proclamation-esque, like don't eat spinach, don't eat kale, don't eat broccoli. And then a third one, we can probably literally just dive straight into either this compound, or what we could do, I don't know how compliant this is, but you could be like, hey, everyone's worrying about COVID. That's not the real health problem that's ravaging our entire country. It's actually this thing I call gut disruption.
Okay. Sorry, I'm just taking notes.
No worries.
Yeah, I mean, they did say that they tried like a COVID lead, that it didn't really work that well. So, anyway, I can run this ID by them as well. Maybe that would be different. Okay, so just to recap for 1 sec, and then you can move on to the next person. So for the first lead, we'll just go with Dr. Anthony the whole way through and get him to tell the story of the patient, but shorten the story.
Yes, and I actually have some swipe from Gundry. He did something very similar. I will go ahead and look for it and send it to you today.
Yeah, awesome. I guess all those bribes I'm paying you are working. Just one other quick question before we dive off. Where I introduce him, or he introduces himself, I guess, does it sound like boasting? I made like, I highlighted it. Yeah, this little bit here. Yeah, does that sound like he's boasting?
No, but I can understand why you think that. You know, a quick sort of workaround is just you basically being like, say, you know, I've been privileged to have touched the lives of millions of people, and that's what's gotten me to speak at institutes like so and so. So you just make it about like, oh, I'm so lucky, I'm so honored to have the chance to transform people's lives, blah blah blah, right?
Okay. Perfect. And then it goes back to the control. Okay, sweet. Well, it looks like I've written 2 leads in 1, which is great. That means I've like halved my work in a way.
Well, exactly. Yeah, it's almost like you're right. These are 2 very distinct different leads. And then I'm trying to think
Oh, this is
too.
just messy notes, by the way.
No, no worries. I'm just sort of going through it. Yeah, so you see, you have a special fat destroying bacteria. Yeah.
I'll
Anyway,
find
I
out
think
what it
once
is.
is it like it sounds like it's a probiotic, like a bacteria in your gut.
Yeah, I feel like they talk about microbiome, but I don't know I can't remember exactly what it was because I was just gonna tease it and not actually tell them.
Yeah, it's interesting. Let me think about this for a little bit. But just to get started, break apart these leads.
Okay, cool. That sounds perfect. Thank you for your time.
Sweet. Yeah, good work.
Hey there. So this is like basically brand new as of a couple of hours ago. I just want to see if I'm on the right track before I like dive any deeper into this. So this is going to be an anchor video going to a VSL, and then I'm also supposed to write a bunch of shorter YouTube ads to go with it. Can you hear me okay?
Great. Yeah, no, I hear you perfectly.
Great.
So
Great.
what do you mean by anchor video?
Basically like short YouTube ads are going to feed into this longer YouTube ad, and then the longer YouTube ad will feed into the VSL.
Well, cool. That's pretty sweet. Awesome. Do you have, are you writing both of them?
I think someone else is working on the VSL right now.
Are you writing the shorter YouTube ad, I guess?
Yes.
Got it. Okay.
There's some ideas for those are at the bottom, but like I said, I just started working on this. So
Yeah, no worries. Let me go ahead and read through this. Yeah, I mean, this is very similar to what we talked about with Kate, right?
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
I was like, whoa, what? So yeah, I think this is off to a great start, and I think you're doing it right, which is sort of whenever I start a project, I have this like 24-hour to 48-hour, just like I just pace my room and I just like jot down as many ideas as I can, trying to wrap my head around like what this thing even is. So I think this is sort of the way to do it, and I would have done the same thing. You know,
Yes. Your
the
name is
one
in the document.
yeah, the one thing I'll sort of say is, you know, when it comes to gut bacteria stuff, when it comes to microbiomes and stuff like that, these are all sort of mechanisms and products that have been sort of beaten to death by now, right? I mean, everyone that I know takes a probiotic or eats some sort of a fermented vegetable, blah, 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 blah. We know like Probiotic America and all these like really great VSLs have been done. So my challenge to you is like, how can we introduce this in a new and in a fun way? Something that the reader hasn't heard before.
Yeah, that is a big challenge. It's a very mature niche.
Right. So, I mean, let me look at this real quick. And is this the same thing? Like,
This is like a sister product. If you get to the, I don't know if it's if you scroll down or if you like click through to the sales page, the one I'm working on is called Slim Belly Cleanse. I mean, it could be about this one if I wanted to. There's one called Slim Belly Cleanse, which is what I was thinking it would be about.
yeah, I guess the thing so this is not the microbiome thing.
It is. It also support, or it's the, yeah, I guess this is targeted more for Slim Belly Cleanse. If you click order now, it might show you the other product. The other product doesn't have its own. No, sorry. Oh yeah, there it is. There it is in the little tiny box.
This one.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Okay. So you're going to lead with the belly cleanse thing. Okay. Got it. I mean, so I don't know. It could be really cool. The thing that pops out of me, and I don't know if this is an argument that you can make, but man, it would be really sweet to be like, you know, everyone talks about, well, sorry, there's like a big spider that just is crawling next to my.
He just wants to learn about copy.
Yeah, he's fine. I'll let him just hang out for a little bit. So basically, what I'm trying to say is with this is it'd be really cool if you can somehow connect your microbiome and sleep, and if there's anything you can say that basically says like, you know, everyone talks about microbiome, but no one talks about how your microbiome actually flips when you sleep or whatever. Just something that makes me think that something dramatically changes in my gut the second I go to sleep.
Okay. Good idea.
And that connects really well to the get some slim sleep. Right.
Yeah. Taking notes here. Sorry.
No worries at all. So that's where I would probably start. I would look at as much research as I can in terms of just like, well, what does happen to your gut or inside the gut when you sleep? And see if you can connect it that way. Because that'll bring a new topper to this.
Awesome. And so should I put that like as early as possible, put that in as early as possible, or?
I would play around with it. I would basically write multiple versions, and this sort of connects to what Kate was doing too, which is like she had, you know, she needs to write 3 different leads, and whenever I start anything, I do the same thing. I'll write like 12 different leads, and I'll try out one where it's just like, okay, let me try to talk about sleep and the gut right away. Let me try one where I sort of hide it. And then I think as you read both of those and as you write them, your copywriter intuition will tell you like, hey, this one's stronger, this one's not.
Okay.
Is that helpful?
Super helpful. Super helpful.
Great.
Yeah, they got a lot of like raving testimonial raves. So
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, another thing you can do is you could probably start, if you read like a really compelling testimonial, you can probably start an ad with just that, right?
good idea. I will do that for sure.
Yeah, and that good work,
Awesome. Thank you so much.
of course. Hey, Matt, it's looking like I need access.
Oh, sorry about that.
No worries.
Must have shared the wrong link. Okay, sharing now.
Cool.
So, as you know, the lead for the YouTube ad, the first 5 seconds is very is vital. So I just wanted to get your feedback on these leads for a mood support supplement ad on YouTube.
Awesome.
Yeah, I have to use a lot of weasel words, unfortunately.
Yeah, I was gonna say this is a little bit marble mouthy, but I think it's the best we can do with what we have, right?
There can't be any change. It's just balance.
I guess with the first one, like, I like it. The one thing I wish it had more of is something with a little bit of recency and occasion to it. Like, is there any way we can say, scientists recently uncovered, or they found this last month, or whatever? Like, how can you basically make me feel like this discovery happened yesterday?
Yeah.
That's what I would add.
Yeah.
Oh, and another thing I would add actually is, if it's super isolated, I'd probably have a sentence that's like, and now it's rocketing through American households everywhere, or whatever country.
Yeah. Yeah. I do that in lead 3, actually.
You can use you language, right? On YouTube?
Yeah. Yeah. So the beauty of YouTube is you can target people based on keywords. So we'll be going to people who've said they're struggling with anxiety or depression.
Right. So if you struggle with feeling down, tired.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is great. I would probably add something here that's like connecting this MIT, the scientists with the actual bean here.
Yeah. I mean, this is a completely different angle to the first one. So the first one's just focusing on one of the ingredients, and the second one is all about how they found in the brain where you can feel, it's all to do with dopamine.
Mm-hmm. And does this bean help with dopamine?
Yeah. Yeah. It's loaded with L-dopa. So Mucuna pruins.
So then you can say that then. You can say, scientists from MIT recently pinpointed where in the brain negative thoughts can be turned to positive ones, blah, 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 blah. And it's led to a breakthrough that was recently uncovered here.
Yeah.
Like, you almost have to connect these two. They're flip-flopped, right? One leads with scientists and then leads to the bean. This one leads with bean and then leads to scientists.
Yeah.
I would probably call them researchers. I don't know why. Just whenever I hear the word botanist, I immediately think like,
People with jars.
yeah, you know,
So you said call them researchers.
yeah, researchers, scientists, whatever. Just something that sounds a little bit more official. No
Yeah.
offense to
Yeah.
any botanists. So this actually hurts your argument. Why do I want
Yeah.
something that's been around for years?
Okay.
So I almost would write, you know, in fact, this bean's popularity is now skyrocketing across the world.
Yeah.
Thousands of people like you. And then where's
Yeah,
the
you
fourth?
don't have to read the rest of it. It's really just the late, because I basically have 60 days to make $1,000 a month for ship offers. So I'm just churning out as many ads as I can.
Totally. What have you guys tested before?
Well, I've launched, so I'm doing everything myself, which is kind of enjoyable, but also stressful because I'm taking on board like lots of stuff I don't really know how to do, like media buying. So I've got LITE helping me with the media buying side of things. So I launched like 4 supplements so I could take some big swings. And I'm narrowing down to the mood support supplement because I know I can get a decent amount of impressions. Whereas with the others, like one of them's an energy supplement, one of them's like for brain, like for brain health. But you don't really get a lot of searches on YouTube for those topics. Whereas anxiety and depression is it's a real big issue. So there's loads of searches. So I can get low quality, you know, I can get good quality views at low cost. So I'm just throwing everything at mood support right now.
Great. I mean, an alternate lead that I just sort of thought of is connect with what's going on in the world right now, right? And I know you can't say, I'm sure you can't say pandemic, I'm sure you can't say COVID, but man, you can talk about like, I'm not even sure you can use the word lockdowns, but you can just talk about how like, hey, don't we live in a crazy time? Of course. And if you're feeling depressed and anxious like everyone else, there's now new hope.
Yeah.
Which brings a lot of really, really compelling occasion to your message.
Yeah.
Which is just like anxiety is at an all-time high, which spurred scientists into a research frenzy to figure out an answer. And OMG, we just figured it out. It has to do with this purple bean. I'll tell you about it in a moment. But first, let me introduce myself.
Yeah.
So that's a fourth lead you could test.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I'll be testing that.
So I would get with Lutfi and basically get as many differing leads as you can, no matter how wacky they are.
Yeah.
Test like 10 of them.
Yeah.
And then you'll see like, okay, cool. Like out of these 10, 2 or 3 are great. And then you try to quote unquote beat those by going deeper. So you go wide, then deep, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the plan. Just churn them out and eventually find one that works.
Yeah. And I have a feeling that, you know, these 3 with some sort of a topper of like, hey, this just happened is the way to go.
Yeah.
So anyway, good work. Hopefully that's helpful.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks a lot, Mike. Cheers.
Of course. Hey, Heidi, how are you?
Hey, good. How are you?
I'm well.
So I haven't written a ton of YouTube ad scripts, so I guess I'm just looking for general feedback. This client wanted to just want a new angle. The script he's running before kind of stopped working as well. And he actually liked the kind of hard-hitting first line. I wasn't really sure about that, but bit of a pattern interrupt. And so his only comment was that he wanted to add back the urgency he had in the first one, which was, you know, kind of a, I don't know if it's a BS comment, but like, CEOs in the weight loss industry don't want you to know these secrets. This information won't stay up for long, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah. The government's breathing down my neck.
Right. So I did add that in at the end, but just, you know, looking for general feedback if I can make it better. And I think it could be longer too, because it was originally going to be a 2 to 2.5 minute video, but he said 3 to 5 minutes seemed to be performing even better.
Cool. Let me go ahead and read through it here. And what is this for? Is this for an info product or a supplement or?
It's an actual tonic, so like a weight loss, you know, belly fat burner. It's one of those things. That's like, oh, this chief doctor in Japan discovered this potent tonic that melts fat off your body, you know, so
Cool.
one of those things.
And is this for, I'm assuming it's for the female crowd?
You know, his original script was specifically calling out women over the age of 40. But I think it's really both, but probably, yeah, targeting more women in the age 40 to 65 range.
Yeah, so I don't know if they want abs. You know,
They
like
want-
I
oh, right.
I think this is
That's
a very
true.
male-centric, like chiseled washboard abs type. I think what you have here, you know, if you're over the age of 40, it's all over. You're never gonna have a flat belly again. And you can even say something like, and it's only gonna get, you're only gonna balloon more and more.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. Abs is really not applicable to women as much.
And you can really use this as like a place to connect with them, right? You're battling hormonal changes, aging, chronic stress, slower metabolism, gravity, and the rest of the shit that the world throws your way.
Mm-hmm.
And basically it's just like, you know, this togetherness. Let me tell you this one. Okay, so I actually think you buried the lead here a little bit.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah. He also he didn't want me to give it away, of course, what exactly it is, but
no, totally. I guess what I'm saying
yeah.
is, you know, it's been 270 words and you haven't told me anything new,
Yeah.
if that makes sense. You know, this is
Yeah.
all stuff that we've all read before, we've all heard before. It really gets interesting when you get right here. And then I'm like, ooh, cool, wait, there's an island where there's no one, like no one's fat.
Yeah.
Like this is super compelling to me. You know, so I wonder if we just keep what we have here, but we just move this sentiment up. And the easiest way to do that, I think, is if you're over the age 40, comes to weight loss. Yeah, you can say, but it is possible to lose no matter your age, no matter whatever, it is, little 5 minutes a day. And as living proof, we have the entire population of a secluded Japanese island where obesity simply doesn't exist to prove
I
it.
like that.
See, they eat XYZ, and I'm going to share with you exactly what that is right now.
Yeah, that's cool.
And then I don't know, like this stuff, it's tough, right? Because I think we read so much copy and we're just sort of steeped in all this stuff that we read stuff like this in our eyes and immediately, like we immediately roll our eyes and like, okay.
Yeah, totally.
But I mean,
I
man,
didn't have that in there. I added it in after his feedback, but I think, well, he also has that on his landing page. So he wanted to kind of tie in with that, but
yeah, then keep it. That's totally fine. I mean, this
yeah.
is like a classic, like big pharma. Like
Yeah.
big pharma doesn't want like you to know about this like joint saving secret. Like I'm going directly against them.
Yeah.
This page could go away any moment.
Totally.
So yeah, that's fine. You can just leave it in. I don't think is really that big of a problem. And if there's some sort of congruency, whatever, just leave it in. But yeah. Anyway, long story short, move this up because this is super compelling to me.
Cool.
I mean, even this, right? Like 3 times, that's nuts.
Yeah. And
Why not
that's
tell me
really
right
the
away?
crux of the product, yeah, and how it works. So makes sense.
So anyway, good work though.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, I think that's everyone, right? Sweet. Well, we finished early today, 45 minutes. Sweet. Does anyone else have any questions or any feedback or anything they want to ask before we hop off here? It can be general copy questions, marketing, contracting, negotiating, etc.
Actually, quick thing related to YouTube ad scripts. How
Mhm.
do you know how many words to write, you know, to make like a 3-minute video, for example? Is there a way to calculate that, or do you just like time yourself reading it?
Man, I don't know. What I would do is if you have a ton of scripts and videos from this guru, because some people talk
Mhm.
faster, some people talk slower, so it's tough to really
Sure.
sort of gauge. And I'm sure you can do something where it's like, 100 words a minute or whatever. You can just Google like average word to speech ratio or whatever.
Yeah.
But what you could do is just basically find a previous script and literally sit there for a minute, see where they stop talking, and then transcribe it yourself, and then just be like, oh, it's only 150 words or 200 words or 300 words or whatever.
Yeah. And Matt just wrote readings about 150 words in a minute per minute.
Yeah.
So that's what he meant.
It's
Yeah.
tough because sometimes you, as a copywriter, like you almost want them to speak slower because there are certain
Yeah.
times in a script that you want to like really speed through stuff, and there are other times when you really want to like whisper and really draw out all of the words. So I wouldn't put too much emphasis on that. I guess my best advice would just be to look at what they've done previously and then try to match that up with whatever Google says is the average.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, see, Matt says 150 in a minute. So, but reading is different than actually speaking, right? So who knows? Kimmy asks, what's one piece of advice for writing a product that doesn't solve an immediate pain point? Can you give me an example?
Yeah, so for example, like teaching kids reading, like education, it doesn't really solve an immediate pain point unless they need to learn how to read like really quickly, like before second grade, for example. But like teaching kids to read is more like helping them become like successful long term and not solving an immediate pain point like health or like other like credit needs.
So this is for parents, right?
Yeah, for parents. And then it's a product that helps their kids to read
Gotcha.
fast.
So I think, I mean, if you want to, I don't think we don't focus on the kids at all. I think we focus on the parents' shame and guilt about being a bad parent.
Oh, okay. So tap into like more negative emotions.
Yeah, which is like, do you really want to be that parent whose kid gets held back?
Yeah.
Stuff like that. Like, I don't think it's about the kid at all.
Okay.
Because what a lot of parents will do is they'll use their kid as a way to make themselves feel better.
Oh, okay, got
Right.
it.
So that's where I would start. I don't know if that's like an immediate pain point, but man, like, I don't know. I'm trying to think of like kids being held back, how that looks like to the parent. Being at a parent teacher conference and being embarrassed when your child reads out loud or something, you know what I mean? Like make it about the parent being embarrassed.
Yeah,
Make it about the mom being like, wow, I'm such a shitty mom. My
mhm.
kid can't fucking read.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I haven't thought of like the guilt or shame pain point yet, because it's like really immediate, and it's like a reflection of the parents parenting.
It is. I mean, think about, whenever anyone, I'll use an example of just like, think about a kid dropping out of college.
Yeah.
Most parents immediately go like, where did I go wrong?
Oh.
And it's like, this has nothing to do with you. Like the kid, like, you know what I mean? So that just goes to show you how much parents look at their kids' success in school and in life as a direct representation of their parenting skills. So that's where you start.
Yeah, and it all starts with their reading, which is one of the most important skills for building that.
Totally. And you could even say like, I was going to say, you can maybe even have something like, as they're reading through the copy, you can have this like really meta level, which is just like the same way you're reading these words right now.
Oh,
So I'm like, I don't know, I wouldn't use that. It just sort of came to mind. So
okay. Got it. Yeah, those are great ideas. I'm definitely gonna weave those in.
yeah, I think that's the way to do it, man. It's because look, you're not selling to second graders, right? So you almost have to make it about the parent because they just simply won't care otherwise.
Right, right. So making that immediate pain point, the guilt and the shame, and making it like as a reflection of their parenting. And for example, like what's gonna happen, like you said, like at the parent teacher conference, and the kid can't read, so it's like a direct reflection of them. So I'm definitely gonna
Exactly.
put that in.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of other like specific examples. Like I don't know if the parent teacher conference is like perfect, but man, there's just so much we can do there. Let me think. Yeah, I got nothing. But yeah, basically just take them into the classroom, have them really sort of look at their own fear, pain, shame, guilt, anger
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to their son or daughter not excelling for whatever reason, and how that makes the parent look poorly.
Okay, how to
Yeah,
reflect.
or whatever. Like I don't know. I'm trying to think of like these like snooty moms sitting at a table and they're all sipping wine, and one of them is like, well, my Billy just got an blah blah scholarship to blah blah blah.
Oh,
And then the mom whose son like didn't even get in anywhere just sort of crumbles in her seat
mm, that's really good.
because there's a better than less than dynamic there.
Yeah, and like all the parents' friends, like everyone in the town knows.
Well, exactly, right?
Yeah.
Every parent wants to be like, my kid is the valedictorian. Look at me, I'm incredible.
Hmm.
So
Hey,
I don't
Mike.
know. Yeah.
I'm sorry to be a little late to this, but my boss just sent over to me a video script done by a famous media agency. It's sort of like a brand ad that they would be running on YouTube. I'm sharing that with you. If you could kind of take a look and tell me where we can improve it.
Yeah. Let me finish with Kimmy here, and then we can
I'm ready for you. I've just
hop
shared that in
into.
the chat.
No worries, man. I appreciate it. Thanks for letting me know. But yeah, Kimmy, does that help at all? Just basically focus on the parents.
That's super helpful. Yeah, I haven't thought about like how it can be turned into that immediate angle. So that's really good. Thank you.
Sweet. Yeah. All right. Yeah, I think this is awesome, man. I don't really have a lot more to add here. The thing that I would sort of say right away is, I don't know if having the date here helps or hurts. You know, March 2nd, like that was 3 months ago.
Yeah, yeah. That was when they started filming it. Yeah, that's a good point.
So I would remove that. Other than that, has this been tested yet?
It's brand spanking new. They have yet to test it, run it. There's not your opinion on this. Like, are there any weak corners that you can, spot and you can tell us so we can take care of them?
No, I think it's great, man. I mean, if you have the actual script that I can look at, that'll be probably a little bit faster for me to read than watching the video. But I
Sure,
think
I
it's
would do
totally
that
fine.
on the next call.
Awesome. Yeah, man.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, of course. All right, everyone. Well, appreciate everyone hopping on, and I will talk to everyone next week.